Did you know there used to be cruise ships at Walt Disney World? Stay tuned to learn all about them. Hello everyone, I'm George Taylor from ImagiNERDing. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get updates when I release new videos about theme park history, Disney books, and other related theme park videos. One thing that always sets Walt Disney World apart from Disneyland and other theme parks, well, besides the sheer size of Walt Disney World, of course, is the use of water and water-based transportation. My obsession with the bob-around boats is well documented, but there are other Vacation Kingdom of the World era watercraft that still need research and photographic evidence. Imagine checking into your resort hotel in the summer of 1972 and perusing your copy of the July 1972 Walt Disney World News. You see an article for the World Cruise. Sounds interesting, right? Quote, "World Cruise, our latest attraction. See all that Walt Disney World is and will be in an entirely new way with a paddle wheel steamboat world cruise around the Vacation Kingdom." End quote. The Walt Disney World News article continues. Osceola-class sidewheelers make 50-minute cruises daily around both the Seven Seas Lagoon and Bay Lake, giving guests an unprecedented opportunity to view all of Walt Disney World from the water. Along the way, guests explain future expansion programs planned for the Vacation Kingdom, including construction of new Walt Disney World hotels and other attractions along the lakefront. Guests can also learn how Walt Disney World was created and how thousands of tons of earth were moved to form the completely man-made 200-acre Seven Seas Lagoon. End quote. So to take advantage of the World Cruise, you had to report to the front of the Main Street Railroad Station at noon, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 p.m. The cruise cost 90 cents or one e-ticket per person. There were also refreshments provided on the 50-minute cruise. The Southern Seas and Ports of Call were the two Osceola-class sidewheelers, which was a term that Disney created. The ships were over 100 feet long and had a steam boiler operating a genuine gallows A-frame walking beam engine. They were modeled after the type found on the steamer Francis Skitty of the Gold Rush era from around the late 1800s. They were driven exclusively by sidewheel paddle wheels and authentic in every regard, including temperamental steam engines. The boat started their life late in 1971, transporting guests to and from the Magic Kingdom. So why did Disney choose to create the two side-wheel paddle steamships for Bay Lake and the Seven Seas Lagoon? Robert Fulton invented the steam engine in the early 1800s, and it revolutionized travel. Well, at least until the end of the 19th century, when railroads became king. And with all of the water at Disney World, it made sense to pay homage to the steamships, just like Main Street USA pays homage to horse-drawn and motor transportation. When Disney decided to create these two ships, it wasn't easy. There weren't any steamboats with the walking beam engine, so Disney had to do a lot of research, including visiting the San Francisco Maritime Museum, which maintained an old sidewheeler called the Eureka at Fisherman's Wharf. The Smithsonian Institute also provided the original 1858 drawings for the Francis Skitty. Why are they called walking beams? Well, the engine sits on top of the huge frame and can be seen moving up and down like a seesaw over the central structure of the ship. The two ships were constructed of fiberglass and, at the time, were the largest fiberglass hulls ever built. The old boilers, the ones from the 1800s, only generated about 10 to 40 pounds of steam. The new modern boilers produced almost 300 pounds of steam. The 33,000-pound walking beam engines were built by Disney engineers in California, tested, disassembled, and then shipped to Florida. The hull and the superstructure were built by naval architects in Florida, then disassembled, and trucked the 100 miles to Walt Disney World. The original intent for both ships were as charter cruise ships, and they were equipped for food and beverage services. Each ship had a taped spiel that described the sights of the Vacation Kingdom of the world. The pilot of each boat would start the tape spiel, and it would play until it got to a high-pitched signal on the tape. The signal was unheard by guests, but it caused the tape machine to stop. It was up to the pilot to hit play again as they neared the next destination, so the tape would play the next part of the narration. Unfortunately, not all of the pilots were reliable in that regard. The world cruises continued until April 1974, when Walt Disney World opened their Treasure Island in the middle of Bay Lake. A 1974 promotional flyer advertising Treasure Island claimed that there were two ways to reach it, either by direct sailing or aboard the World Cruise. It read, and I quote, "Steamboat voyages, a visit to Treasure Island and the Walt Disney World Cruise, the story of the Vacation Kingdom, past, present, and future, departs from the World Cruise dock at the entrance to the Magic Kingdom daily. Adults, $2.50, children, age 3 to 11, $1.25. The last cruise departs at 4 o'clock, end quote. When boarding either the ports of call or the Southern Seas, guests received a World Cruise passport to Treasure Island. Inside there was information about the boats, the voyage itself, and the usual safety precautions. There was also a map of the entire Walt Disney World Resort, showing the Magic Kingdom, the Contemporary, the Fort Wilderness, the TTC, the Golf Resort, and the Polynesian Village. The World Cruises also doubled as a romantic evening cruise. Named the Moonlight Cruise, they started in 1972. And from a 1973 issue of Vacationland, it says, quote, "Guests who wish to cruise the waters of Walt Disney World after dark will have a lark on authentic paddle wheel steamboats which depart twice nightly from both resort hotel marinas and from the Fort Wilderness dock. The showboat cruises last approximately 90 minutes, and while costume hostesses serve refreshments, a Dixieland band entertains passengers with ragtime favorites," end quote. Back in the 1970s, the Magic Kingdom was rarely open past 6 p.m. The World Cruise and Moonlight Cruise provided hours of relaxation to Walt Disney World guests looking for a different type of activity. The Moonlight Cruises provided recreation and nightlife to a still very limited Vacation Kingdom. Now, remember, this was before the days of Epcot Center, which would be open until 9 p.m. Early Walt Disney World did emphasize relaxing activities to do out of the theme park environment at one point, like River Country, the Lake Buena Vista Shopping Village, and these cruises. They really tied it all together as the Vacation Kingdom of the world. The Southern Seas suffered some major water damage to her hull and stayed out of service for about a year, starting in 1974. In 1977, the original Southern Seas, which had been built in 1969, was destroyed, and a new ship was built, the Southern Seas II. This ship was actually 120 feet instead of just 100. It had many of the same elements of the original Southern Seas, but this time around, the engine was just decorative. The new boat ran on diesel, just like the ferry boats. Due to the increased capacity and longer hull, the Southern Seas II was termed a Seminole class steamship. Around the same time, Treasure Island was rebuilt as Discovery Island, so the daytime attraction was renamed the World Cruise to Discovery Island. Everything changed for Walt Disney World in 1982 when Epcot Center opened. The guests at Disney World spent the first 11 years centered around the Magic Kingdom and the hotels. During the first decade, the cruises were always full. When Epcot Center opened, guests were decentralized and all over the resort. Attendance for the cruises dropped to 50%. Since Epcot Center was open late and the Magic Kingdom usually closed at 6 p.m., and with Epcot's wide variety of meal options, more guests opted to go to Epcot as opposed to cruising around the Seven Seas Lagoon. In 1984, the Southern Seas II, which was then still considered a recent investment, was used exclusively for charter cruises. And these corporate programs were a huge source of income for Disney, who could charge $250 an hour to rent the boat out to meetings and conventions. Of course, that $250 an hour didn't include the food, drink, or staffing. The long-running ports of call, also built in 1969, had suffered the same water leakage in the hull of the boat, which led to the destruction of the original Southern Seas. In 1984, the boat was hauled out of the water. Problems with the steam engine system compounded the problems, making repairs costly. Despite Watercraft cast members' best efforts to have the Smithsonian Institution buy the boat to display as an exhibit on steam power, Disney destroyed the boat with a bulldozer. In 1996, the Southern Seas II, now overdue for a refurbishment, was put in dry dock. With watercraft operations no longer using the boats on a daily basis and convention booking unwilling to finance the task, the Steamboat was left without a home. It was eventually destroyed in 1997. The days of live steam on the Seven Seas Lagoon were finally over. Did you ever get a chance to take a World or a Moonlight cruise? Do you remember sailing on the ships? Leave me a comment and let me know. I would love to hear from you. I'm George Taylor from ImagiNERDing, and I hope to see you in the parks.